Hello, I just want to show off all the features of my theme, mostly just like the player menu and stuff that I'm going to show in Song Select. So let's go. So the first thing you'll notice is there's a mouse cursor, and that's like in-game and not operating system, and you can actually use it to click on things. You can also use menu buttons, obviously, but the mouse exists. So the first thing is, so you have your steps pane down here, which has your normal steps, but also any tech in the chart. And you can also view different leaderboards depending if you're connected to Groove Stats or not. So I can see the Groove Stats leaderboard, the EX score leaderboard, and if this was an RPG or ITL, you could see those leaderboards as well, and even the local machine records if you have any. We also have a player menu, which can be toggled either by pressing this button here with the mouse or by pressing select. This replaces screen player options completely, so you don't ever have to open that as a screen. You just immediately go into gameplay after this screen. So there's a lot going on here. The first thing you might notice is there's a D mod. In this case, D stands for dynamic. It works similar to an M mod. However, if the song, for example, has BPM changes and a display BPM, if you're playing on an M mod, you would still experience those BPM changes. But with D mod, it will see that it has a display BPM and it can be C modded, so it will pick the C mod. Also, if you use D mod for ITL, it will also always use a C mod unless the chart is specifically no C mod. So that way, if you're playing in the event, you just set it once and you never have to change it. And then obviously you can change your scroll speed and stuff like normal, mini, all this stuff. These work as checkboxes. You can either click them, not that you would have all these on at once, but you can. Or you can use menu buttons and press enter to toggle stuff. And you might notice that the text here on the left for these options are different than the other text. It is white instead of gray, and it has a little caret symbol next to it. That means that these have submenus within the menu, so you can either press enter on them or click them and it will open up a whole new submenu. So example, for the note skins, you can still change the note skin here if you wanted to. You can also change the note field spacing, so if you want the notes further, like the columns of the notes further apart, you can do that, or closer together. And same with like adjusting the X and Y position on gameplay, or like if you wanted to, you could even change the like opacity of the note field to make it more or less visible. Some people play with hide targets, some people might want it just to be, only partially visible. So yeah, oh yeah, also there's tabs at the top which have different option pages. So now we have visual mods. This is like other gameplay like related stuff that you'll see on the screen. Screen filter to hide the background while you play, the life bar, visual delay. A new mod is ghost window, so it's kind of like FA+, although it's only cosmetic. It doesn't do anything in terms of scoring for EX score or normal score, and you can even play without. So like if you have FA+ disabled but you wanted to know where the window was, you could change it to whatever millisecond value you want and you'll get the white fantastics in gameplay. For example, if you just wanted 20 milliseconds, you could do that. You could even do something as low as 10 or even 1 if you're crazy. I wouldn't personally, but it exists. And yeah, if you have FA+ enabled, which is in the advanced tab, let's say, yeah, display FA+ window. Now you can only pick options between 1 and 14 milliseconds. And another cool feature is with the life bar. With the life bar, you can change the color, which is new. So there's two different versions of the life bar. Normal, which is how it would look, and then hot is when it's full, and this is just how SM is. It's weird, but you can change the RGB values here, the mouse, and it'll update in real time and to show you what it looks like. And then if you don't like it, you can just reset back to default value. Press select or right mouse click to go back. And then same for the hot color here. You can change this to whatever color and it will reflect that in gameplay. Advanced mods, so we have, same as like Simply Love, you have target score graph or step statistics, and if you have step statistics enabled, this also has a submenu, and you can toggle on or off everything in step statistics. So if you don't want the score box, you find it distracting, just turn it off. All of this can be toggled on or off. Target score, also similar to Simply Love, except instead of it just being the grades, you can pick exact percentages. The higher percentages are much more precise, and then as you get lower, it's just by 1%. We also have error bar, which has normal options as Simply Love. This is all the same. Measure counter, however, is different. Measure counter, you can have different layouts, so you can have vertical or horizontal. Horizontal is the same as it is in SL. Vertical will stack each measure on top of each other, and you can change the number of measures shown ahead, or you can just turn it off if you only want the current stream shown. You can also change the font of the measure counter, so we can take a look at what this would look like if you did vertical instead of horizontal. Just turn on autoplay. And if you find vertical measure counter distracting, you could move it off to the side. Probably isn't the best song for an example, but you get the idea. Column cues is also a bit different from Simply Love. It is also very customizable. So you either have it off, or you can choose how long of an errorless break you want before it will show a column cue. Typically I do like 0.7 seconds, but it's kind of just scroll speed dependent. Theoretically in the future I might change this to auto detect how long it should be based on scroll speed, but that's for another time. Also submenu, you can toggle on and off a lot of things. So if you want to queue mines, that is something you can do. By default it should be on. It'll be a red column queue if it's a mine. You can ignore holds and rolls for queues in terms of time. So like if, for example, you have a really long hold with a note at the end of the hold, it will still tell you what the note is at the end of the hold. And if you, like for example, only wanted to queue mines, you could turn this on, and then with mines on, then it'll only show you mines. And then there's also a countdown timer if any queue is longer than 5 seconds, which is very nice, and you can also change the font on this as well. After that we have uncommon mods. This is just, you know, all the weird mods that you rarely ever use, if ever. One thing that I added was haste, which is silly. It determines your rate mod based off like life bar and combo. If you pick this, however, I have it currently fail the player because you can easily just cheese songs by having rate mods below 1. And maybe in the future I can change this to only go down to 1.0 and then it will save. Next we have sorts and filters. So we have main sort, which is, you know, same as like Simply Love for the most part. We have different stuff in here though. For example, tags, which I'm gonna get into later. MPS is new, which takes the MPS of the chart and sorts it as if it were BPM instead of MPS. And then there's also 2 different subsorts that you can do beyond just the main sort, which is also very handy. You can also filter out charts. So if, for example, you only wanted things that were a 15 or harder, you could turn this on. it'll reload the song select screen. Anything that's easier than 15 will not show up. So like in A Originals 3, only 2 charts show up out of the 30 because only 2 of them are 15 or harder. Another thing you can do is you can also filter out difficulties entirely. So like if you only wanted expert charts, you could filter out all these lowers, turning them off essentially. So then you only get expert charts. You can also filter out BPMs from minimum to maximum. So like, let's say I only wanted things that were 150 to 160 BPM. Then those will be the only things that show up in every pack. Same goes for NPS, length. There's also filters for groove stats and autogen. So for the groove stats filter, it's based off pack name. So if you have the same packs of anything ranked on groove stats proper, it will only show those packs, or you can hide all of them. So only show song packs that are not ranked on groove stats. There's also a filter for autogen. This is for Box's doublify script, and as well as the 2 scripts used for pump doublify. Again, you can have it only show those or hide all of them. And if you want to reset all your filters, there's a button for that right at the bottom. In the system tab, we have a bunch of stuff here that is, well, for I guess the system. So you can, load new songs if you add stuff mid-set. If you're playing an ITL or RPG, you can view your download status. You can switch from single to double here. You can go to course mode here. Course mode also has the same menu. Currently it's a little dumbed down, like no filters right now or sorts. And this has less options. But otherwise, mostly the same. So then you can also, just like in Simply Love, you can pull up the big leaderboards for every song if you're connected to Groove Stats, and you can also do test input here. And then also go to practice mode if you wish. That's basically it for the player menu. I don't think there's too much to add. If you somehow do a filter or a sort that gives you no songs, it will reset your filters for you and reload the screen, so that should not be an issue for anyone. And then if you want to search for songs, you do Control F, and you can search either for song, artist, chart name, and it'll bring up a whole new wheel with all the stuff you find. So let's see, we can do my favorite, We Love Llama. You get every We Love Llama chart. Another thing is if you're sorted by something that isn't just like the group in the banner, it will tell you what pack it originates from, so that you're never unsure about which version it is. So like example, We Love Llama, now you know which one's which if the banner isn't already obvious enough. And another thing is, just like in Simply Love, you can press up down to close a folder, and if you do that in song select, it will bring you back to the pack that it's from if you're in song search. And another thing is tagging. We have a tag system, kind of like favorites in Simply Love, but it's a little different. So let's say you want to warm up and you want warm up charts. So you decide, oh, I want to tag all of Easy as Pie 1. You can just go to Easy as Pie, Control T, add tag to current group. You can do warm up. And let's say that you also wanted to add a tag to something else from a different pack, like just specifically one chart and not an entire pack. You could do the same thing, Control T, add tag to current song. You can pick an existing tag or you can add new ones. So like, let's say I pick that one. Let's also add a new one. Sure. So now when you have a song that's tagged, it will show up on the wheel highlighted to let you know that that song has at least one tag associated with it. The color is based off if you're player 1 or player 2. So if you're player 2, if we a different color than the player 1 tag songs. So now if you change your sort to tags, every tag you make becomes a pack. Yeah, so it just groups all your tags together. So if, for example, you wanted to remove something from a tag, you can go into Manage Tags, pick the tag you want. It'll show you a list of songs or packs. So in this case, it's only songs. And then in this one, it has songs and a pack. So if you, for say, didn't want Easy as Pie in your warm-up tag, you can, go over to it and press enter, and it will delete it for you. So now, if we go back and sort by tags again, the warm-up tag now doesn't have all of Easy as Pie 1, just the individual songs. And back in the tag menu, you can also do remove current songs tags if you just want to do it quick for a song that you're already highlighted on that has a tag. It'll show you all the tags for that song, and you can just pick one and remove it. But if not, you can go to Manage Tags and then pick a song and remove it. And if you wanted to just delete an entire tag entirely or rename it even, so like let's say if I didn't want to call it Bangers, we wanted to call it Bops, then the tag is renamed. The song list will reload, and if you are sorted by tags, it will show up as Bops instead of Bangers. Yeah, to delete tags, you can just go into the Manage Tags option and then delete all the characters. It'll ask you to delete tag, and then you just press enter, and it's gone. So now all my tags are gone. I'd say outside of screen select music, this theme is fairly similar to Simply Love if you've never played this theme before. So yeah, you pick your mods here, then pick a song. On evaluation, you can press Control R to replay a song, or you can press Control P to go into practice mode. If you are playing an event like ITL or RPG and a leaderboard thing appears similar to how it does in SL, you can press, I believe, Control to open and close that. If you accidentally close it early, you can reopen it. There's also a button at the bottom of the screen to toggle that as well. The only other feature that I just remembered that I didn't mention was if you quad a song, or quint in this case, you can have a folder in your profile called WR sounds, and if you have any MP3s or OGGs in there, it will randomly select one of those files and play it as like a fanfare. It also works if you get a world record, a GrooveStats world record, and are connected to GrooveStats, and it detects that. So one more thing is, after you're done with your session, for the name entry, instead of it being a wheel, it's just the keyboard, and you can type whatever you want for the name. The character limit is also upped from 4 or 5 to 12. And then yeah, it's just normal game over screen, nothing interesting. Everything else is, pretty standard in terms of ITG themes. Hope you enjoy.